Another common question we noticed was that many practitioners battle with getting bubbles in the syringe. Now, if you get a bubble mixed in with your filler in your BD syringe, you end up with an air suspension problem. So as you compress, all you do is compress the bubble. You don't actually squirt filler out the other side. And then when you release the pressure, sometimes there's still pressure in the bubble, which keeps pushing filler out. So you decrease accuracy, you lose some control, and it basically feels quite annoying. So we need to make sure that you haven't got bubbles in the BD syringe. And this is all down to your technique with how you fill the back of your BD syringe so that you exclude any bubbles. So here's how you decrease the risk of getting bubbles in your syringe. We have to first think about where these bubbles are coming from. They are usually on the back side of the bead of filler that you put in between the plunger and the filler. So if you imagine putting this in on top of a little space, that's when the big bubbles form. You can also sometimes end up with little bubbles depending on how cleanly you put the filler in, because if you leave little spaces in the filler while you're injecting, you get smaller bubbles. But those are the main two places. So if I put the needle tip in here and keep it still and start to inject and just fill up and keep filling, you have to keep filling until the filler pushes out the back of the syringe, because now there's no longer any space. So another way of saying this would be at the point where I'm putting the plunger in, the first thing that I touch is filler and not like the sides of the syringe and then a bit of air and then the filler. So now there's no room for a bubble. So all I do now is just slide this all the way down, and you should see that there is no suspension in my needle when I start injecting. As I push, it comes all the way out the other side, and that means I've got the control that I need. Let me show you the problem I think injectors have, which is if you put this too far in and then fill the BD syringe up, it's this space here. I've maybe exaggerated more than most of you doing, but that space there becomes the big problem, because as you slide in, so this is an exaggeration of what happens, but there's too much air behind this filler. So as I'm injecting, I just compress air. The filler comes up very slowly and then it pushes back. Now, even if this bubble was a quarter of the size, you'd have a sense of a lack of control, because all you're doing with your energy is compressing air instead of pushing the filler out.